stop paying your landlord's mortgage and start building your own equity. We've all heard this before, but let's do some math. You want to go out and buy this $700,000 house. You want to put down 20%, which means you're going to put down $140,000 in cash out of your pocket to purchase this property. Then you're going to get a mortgage. Let's assume you get a 6.5%, 30-year fixed rate mortgage on the remaining $560,000 that you have to borrow. That means your monthly mortgage payment, not including property taxes and insurance, is going to be around $3,500 a month. Now, when you pay this $3,500 a month to your bank, you might assume that half of this money, $1,750, is going to your principal balance to help build this equity, and the other $1,750 is going in interest to your bank. But that's not how it works. Banks are smart. They do something called front-loading mortgages, which means in the beginning, the majority of your mortgage payment is going directly into your banker's pocket with interest, and a little bit is going to actually build equity in your house. I'll show you what I mean. This amortization calculator shows how much of your mortgage payment is going to interest versus principal, and it isn't until year 20 where half of your mortgage payment is going to build equity and not padding your banker's pockets. So in the beginning of your mortgage, $500 a month is going to principal, the other $3,000 a month is going to interest. And if you refinance your mortgage, well, you start this front-loaded interest payments all over again. Now, this is where you might say, well, at least some of that money is going to equity for yourself as opposed to just paying your landlord's mortgage, which you are correct. It's not bad to buy a house. In fact, it's very good to buy a house. I encourage you to buy a house. It's a problem when you buy a house that you can't afford, and it's a problem when the majority of people think that the way you become wealthy is by buying a house and paying it off, and then you have no other forms of investment, because the big mistake that a lot of people make is they assume that when I buy the $700,000 house, I'm going to pay it off. Well, now I'm free, but you still have to pay expenses to live in this property, and you still need an income to support living in this property even if you don't have a mortgage. You have to pay property taxes and insurance. And let's assume that something good happens. Property values go up. Now your home is worth $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. Well, that also means your property taxes have gone up by many multiples. That also means that your insurance has gone up by many multiples. And now you need more money to pay for those expenses. So if you're retired and you have no income, well, you're going to have a tough time paying the bills to keep living in the house. If you pass this house down to your kids, they're going to need money to keep paying for those property taxes and insurance payments. Not to mention, you need to keep paying for the upgrades. Not to mention, if you want to upgrade the basement, you have to pay for that as well. This is why I always say, treat your house like a liability. Whether you own a house or rent a house, treat it like a liability, make it an expense. If your house goes up in value, great. If you sell it for a profit, great. It's great to own a house, but the key is to own investments outside of the house that you live in. It's great to own a paid off house. I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to buy a house, but make sure you can afford it first. And that means you can afford the down payment, the monthly payment, and the move-in costs, because it costs money to move into the house. And when you move into the house, chances are your wife's going to want new furniture. She's going to want some renovations, and chances are she's going to want some new appliances too. So factor that in. Money line number 2 is your job is what's going to make you wealthy. One thing that I learned when I was in law school is that legally, it is the job of an employee to make investors richer. I'll show you what I mean. When most people think about becoming successful and becoming wealthy, they're talking about climbing the corporate ladder. How do you go from associate to analyst to director to VP to CEO? This way you can make more money in your salary. But there's one part that most people overlook in this diagram. Who are you actually working to make wealthier? Because the CEO of a company has what's called a fiduciary duty, meaning a legal obligation to make one person rich. It's not the employees in the company, it is the investors in the company. The CEO's job is to make the shareholders rich. And who are the shareholders? Well, this is the investors in the company. So everybody here is working to make this person money. The shareholders, the investors, are working for profit. The employees are working for salary. When you work for a salary, you have to go to work to get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. When you work for profit, well, you don't have to work for the profit. The shareholders are getting their piece of ownership, their piece of equity, their piece of profit, which they don't have to go to work to earn. Now, some employees will get paid with ownership or stock as a compensation tool, but there's a lot of investors that don't work in the company. For example, Warren Buffett makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year in dividends, meaning profit distributions from Coca-Cola, but he never has to go into the Coca-Cola factory to work at Coca-Cola. And this is the key link that's missing in our education system. We're taught to get a good job to work up the corporate ladder. We're never taught how to work for profit. Wealthy people are working for this. The average person is working for this. If you want to become wealthy, you need to transform your salary into investments. That way you can get the profits so you can actually become wealthy. Again, if you want some more resources on how to do that, my team at Briefs Media publishes a free daily newsletter called Market Briefs, where we break down what's happening in things like the economy, stocks, housing, crypto, and the global markets into a fun and witty newsletter. Plus, when you join Market Briefs, you'll also get my investing masterclass, which will walk you through how you can start building wealth in this economic system and how you can find hidden investment opportunities that way you can grow and accelerate your wealth. This is a completely free masterclass and a free newsletter. So if you want to get all this, all you have to do is click the link down in the description below to get it all for free. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.